Hello and welcome to Shadowrun slash World of Shadows. We're going to be doing a couple series of these on Sundays in February and March, or January and February, that is. We are looking through some very classic modules from Shadowrun fame, ones that came before my time as a very young boy. so this is just a little opportunity for me to kind of revel in the things that the old guard have always said are the very best of Shadowrun. So if you are a diehard Shadowrun fan watching this, you might not find that I follow the rules exactly correctly, or that's not how this or that works. I'm very sorry, but I'm just going to do my best. We're going to kind of put a little bit of our own spin on this. But yeah, session one of a 4-run series of Bug City. If you're familiar with Bug City, there might not be a twist for you, but maybe there will be anyway. That's my hope. We have 4 awesome characters joining us today. We are going to start with, let me look at the sheet. I want to go left to right, starting with then Cloud Kills. Steven, tell me about Cloud Kills.
All right, so Cloud Kills, for anyone that doesn't recognize the reference, Cloud Kill is a spell from Dungeons and Dragons. It creates like a yellow-green poisonous cloud. So, and that plays into his background because I see Cloud Kills as being this young, really web social media savvy gamer kind of kid. So he's hit Cloud Kills by playing online games and whatnot. But first and foremost, he's an activist. So he was involved for several years with an organization called Terra First, which are basically eco-terrorists. He was kind of a low-level runner slash getaway driver slash lookout guy on several of their projects before he became disillusioned with them for various reasons. Then he decided to strike out on his own. And like a lot of idealistic people, kind of naive idealistic people do, he just sort of latched on to the next thing that he found that seemed to promise truth and sort of a lens into how the world really worked. So he jumped in with this Illuminate the Illuminati cast that he now works with. So Cloud Kill's shtick is that he's trying to reveal who the major players really are in the world. He has all these crazy conspiracies about who those people are, but he's trying to uncover those and broadcast those in order to get the truth out there.
Well, brother, you're gonna learn today. Awesome. Yeah. Did you have a meta type in mind for Cloud Kills?
Yeah, I mean, so I think I'm just going to play him as a pretty male. I didn't really see any reason to go with a different meta type. So I was saying kind of 24 to 26 age range. Again, he's done some fairly bad things already in his life, and is just sort of on the downturn from those.
Well, that's very good to know. Let me hear some looks. Bogey, let's look at tell us about Bogey a little bit more.
Okay, one quick question, just because it looked weird on my screen. I tried to put that little, what's it called, lower third on, and it looked like it was backwards. Is it facing the right direction for you guys?
For us, it looks right.
Okay, cool. All right, Bogey, I wanted to take like 2 old Shadowrun stereotypes, the burned out mage and then the mage detective, and just sort of mush them together. I figured on being this like ex-Lone Star guy. In his youth, he was a real hotshot mage, and all the stuff that went with it, because they're the small percentage of the population. So he kind of enjoyed being the big personality and, throwing around flashy magic and that sort of stuff. And 2 things sort of happened to him. As he got a little older, it started to fizzle. But I figure at one point, specifically, since Lone Star was a corporation, he came across something that made him sort of decide, am I a cop first or am I a corporate guy first? And He thought that he was going to do the right thing and be the cop first, and instead walked into an ambush that he suspects but has never found proof was his superior saying, we need to get this guy with too many morals out of the way. He was patched up by, Lone Star's guys because they were two separate departments, right? But they could not save the majority of his, whiz bang. So he ended up being discharged because he chose to get out of there before they could come after him again. Couldn't really abandon the work, so became a PI. And as all the tools that he used to go to magically just kind of stopped working because of the strain on his body, he started replacing them with chrome. So, can't throw a mana ball anymore, but he's got a machine pistol in his cyber arm. Doesn't have a whole lot of illusion spells, but he's got the tough attitude and knows enough people now that maybe he can just like get favors instead. He's got the cyber eyes and the arm are probably the two things that people notice most about him, other than his super Humphrey Bogart trench coat and fedora. And the fact that he's a dwarf, so take Humphrey Bogart and squash him down to about 3.5, 4 feet.
So you have cyber eyes that are noticeable?
Yes.
Cool. So as far as Bogey's relationship with magic, I know at this time things are a little strained, but how would you define sort of his belief system about magic?
I think he was always real hermetic. It was, you were born with talent, and some people just couldn't do it, but ultimately it was a skill that you had to like study up on. And so he really sees it as his body has let him down in being able to pursue this thing that used to be like the core of his identity. Like the one thing that he can still kind of do is shift over and check out the astral, jump out of his body if he needs to. Probably like really minor spells that under the old system might have been like, force 1, force 2, nothing you'd want to throw at an opponent, but something that you could use over cocktails or while you're talking to somebody.
Yeah, that's totally cool. Awesome. Yeah. Kyle, are you ready or do you need a minute?
Sorry, unmuting myself there. I have like a really basic character concept. I'm not super sure how my character became a rigger per se, but pretty much the idea here is that they grew up in the Puyallup Barrens in Seattle, and they were doing smuggling runs with the Lysa in and out of the tier. And I think that's probably where they picked up some of their rigger skills. But I don't know, maybe they had a run that went bad. Maybe, they've got some enemies among the elves who are hunting them down in Seattle. So they decided to get the hell out of there, call in some favors, and manage to get some ID, some kind of SIN information, and head out here to, I guess we're in Denver, is that right?
Chicago,
yeah. So Chicago, yeah.
So, I could definitely see that. And, the tier, they probably hold grudges for a while, I imagine. Now, Are you yourself an elf?
Yeah,
okay.
That's the idea.
Elven rigger. Okay, we'll put a pin on that. We'll ask some more questions to kind of develop that. But first, I want to hear from Andrew. Tell us about Sharper.
All right. So he's kind of a grizzled, older individual. He's basically seen the videos that are him explaining the situation to himself. Because when he was a young person, he had great gifts, and he was recruited to work for the Corps. And for 30 years, he did shadow work. At the end of 30 years, he apparently signed over a number of things so that they basically blanked out 30 years of his memory. So he doesn't know what he did. And they removed all cybers that were above civilian grade. In exchange, he was allowed to walk and given a lump sum instead of a pension. Well, the lump sum didn't last very long for getting medical care because they didn't do a very good job taking the cybers out. So he's got pain. And he's outlived his lump sum. So basically, the only thing that he can think to do is they couldn't take everything that he learned in 30 years. So he may not be up on who the celebrities are, what movies were famous, what shows you kids grew up on. No idea. But if it does come to getting into an armored building and killing fools, there are some things that are like riding a bike.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you and Bogey would be kindred spirits then. You know, these sort of Bogey's this kind of old school, classic kind of individual that might be something you relate to. I mean, it sounds like Cloud Kills might call you anachronistic, but
well, he's also into Bushido. I mean, every morning
out of touch.
Every morning he prepares to die. He understands non-linear tactical thinking is key. He also feels keenly being Ronin because he's masterless. So in a lot of ways, he feels like he's a ghost waiting for an exorcism, and in the meantime, he will do what is his nature to do until he attracts the exorcist. So he's looking into each eye to see: are you the one? Are we done now?
Okay.
I had a little thought. And if you're cool with this, I kind of like the idea, since I worked for Lone Star and you worked the Shadows. If in your past we were opponents, you know, and both of us have been outed from our old lives. And so, like, now that we're both freelance runners, we've ended up being allies and kind of, like, you know, all of that stuff under the bridge. Like, maybe the reason I can forgive you is that you've told me, like, yeah, I have no idea what they did to me. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I imagine...
all I know is that I've run across you while you were working, but I don't know anything about you from then. I only know you now, minus memories. It reminds me kind of Dollhouse, your story, a little bit.
We're both curious to know who I used to work for.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
because maybe that was the corp that was involved in, you know, what happened.
Oh, yeah.
So
that could be the conspiracy theory that and who was the conspiracy theorist?
Well, and how frustrating would it be if I was like,
maybe Cloud Kills came up with a conspiracy theory that linked us two to get together, you know, like, hey, did you know this whole thing happened because...
I mean, how frustrating would it be for Mulder to finally track down the smoking man and find out he has no memory of what he's been doing for the last 30 years?
Yeah, no, I like that actually. How do we bring in Kyle, what's your character's name?
I don't have one yet. So I'll just think of something. So I should come up with like a code name, right?
That'd be cool.
Like a handle.
I wish I had like a great list of street names here. I wonder if there's one in the PDF I can look at.
I bet there is. I'm gonna make one change to everyone real quick, because we don't have right now, the group's all male. So I'm gonna go ahead and play a human female just to throw a different bit of dynamic in there. I think that'd be kind of fun, because she's younger anyway than everyone else is, I think. So Cloud Kills will be a young, naive, idealistic woman.
Wow, this is a cool website. Oh, here we go. Oh, check this out. For names.
I think I'm just going to go with Ace.
You can't beat Ace.
My old smuggling days.
Very cool. Yeah, so we're trying to get Ace involved here for sure. Let's try to triangulate that. Deckers and Riggers are a little bit of kindred spirits, I think.
Yep.
Tier. Do the tier have any sort of connections, would you think, to eco-terrorist groups?
Well, I was like more part of like the sort of the Elven mafia in Seattle. So I could see that being a thing, because the thing is that I don't know like where we're sort of setting this game. I guess it's early in the Shadowrun timeline. So the the kind of idea is that they're like exile rebels who are trying to overthrow the government in the tier.
Oh,
And so I think they might have some connections to eco-terrorists just because they're all running in sort of oppositional radical groups.
I was going to
Or
suggest being an ancient, or an ex-ancient, but if I think the ancients were kind of supported by the tier government, but I'd imagine there had to be gangs that were, in opposition to the ancients too, which could put you exactly where you're wanting to be.
right. Yeah. I think it's like the Lysa are more sort of known for smuggling operations, so that's why I chose to run with them.
I think it might be
Yeah.
interesting maybe if Ace and Cloud Kills were connected back when Cloud Kills was part of Terra First.
yeah, that's what I was thinking actually. If you want to be a smuggler, Ace, it might be cool to say like Cloud Kills contracted you to get her out of Terra First. Like when she was actually trying to split from the organization, she needed someone to like get her out under the radar. She basically like faked her death. I needed someone to get her out quick, and that you were the one that she kind of contracted through.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
If you wanted to go Native American, I know that there's like a ton of smuggling through the Native American nations.
Yeah.
And Thalashi have a bunch of elves, so you could do that, and that would be kind of anti-tier as well.
So we'll keep that marinating a little bit. We don't necessarily need to nail it down right away, but it's good.
Yeah, I could also see that Cloud Kill maybe might have helped return the favor in getting me out of Seattle.
Yeah.
So do you think Ace now is kind of like somewhat interested, or also maybe involved in this kind of, maybe not the pirate broadcasting stuff, but like, at least the conspiracy angle, or is he just maybe contracting?
I could kind of see that they might be interested in like some conspiracy theories about what's happening in the tier, just because they're like wondering why they got kicked out of the organization in Seattle, and what's going on. They kind of want to get that dirt on what's going on in the shadows back home. I can see that.
Okay. I wanted to touch on Sharper's Bushido a little bit more, because I thought that was super interesting. It definitely sounds like something that's sort of stuck with you despite your memory loss and something like that, and stuff like that. Is that tied to Sharper's heritage? Is that something he adopted? Where did that come from?
Yeah, because they only took the last 30 years, and he became a noteworthy individual in part through, that was the thing that kept him from losing track of himself. That was the thing that kept him on task. And he was actively looking for a master because he valued skill and he valued experience, and these things set him apart from gangbangers. He also was really good at shanking people. And was fairly contemptuous, publicly so, about the unreliability of guns and the certain personal connection that came from passing your blade through someone's flesh, feeling their body heat flow out, being physically connected to their death. So those were the kind of things that attracted the corp that hired him, for what it's worth. But yeah, he was attracted to philosophy because he was an angry kid. And that helped him not just burn out and go to jail.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Put some, gave some, something to anchor his violent tendencies to.
Yeah, he believed that you go to the library, not the arcade, if you want to learn how to break the system.
Yeah. And break some bones. Okay. I think I have a pretty good idea of our characters now then. A little bit more info about Ace forthcoming. One thing I want to talk about, which I realized in my excitement I completely forgot to touch upon, is safety tools in the gauntlet. Shadowrun is a historically, it has some problematic elements to it, right? I mean, to say the least. We look through, we're seeing, some fetishization of cultures and appropriation, things like that. Eh, I think at the time it was made, they were trying to do right. Maybe they got it a little wrong. That's something I think that here in the modern era, we can be a little bit more conscious and aware of. So when we talk about other cultures and things like that, I'd like for us to try to be respectful of those things. For example, Sharper brings in Bushido, and it's pretty clear, Stephen, that you have, or Andrew, that you have some understanding and awareness and knowledge of that, and you're going to be treating that issue respectfully. So I'm happy to see that. So with that in mind, one thing we have as a tool to use if someone's description or even my description is something that's making you uncomfortable, that's not, feeling respectful or appropriate, we have a tool called the X card. And that's probably what we're going to be getting primary use of when we look at content in the game that we are uncomfortable with in an unfun way. So if you want to use the X card, you can either say X, you can say X card, you can put your hands up like this in an X formation. It's a little bit harder to see your little heads on the bottom of the screen, but if you'd rather do that instead of talking or interrupting, that's fine too. You can type it in the chat. You can use it in Roll for Your Party. You can stay anonymous if you use it in Roll for Your Party. Lots of ways we can get the X card out there. Want it to be accessible for you. Because in addition to those sort of cultural mindfulness that we're trying to promote here, we also have some sort of touchy content subjects we're going to experience, like body horror, psychological manipulation, things like that. And in addition to Xing content out, you can ask to take a break. You can ask anyone to take a break. You can step out for a moment. We're all here. We respect each other as people primarily before storytellers. So our emotional health comes first before the story. Is that succinct enough? Did we get that all covered? Anybody have any questions regarding safety? Lots of thumbs up. Okay, cool. Awesome. Let's go ahead and dive right in. We are about nearly an hour in. We got character creation mostly out of the way. Have ideas about our characters. I want to talk about one NPC that ties shadowrunners together, and that is your fixer. Now, I can give you a pre-made fixer, but I think it'd be fun if you all kind of shared some details about your fixer. And again, just to put a finer point on it, a fixer is someone in Shadowrun who acts as a go-between between you and people who need jobs. And they can also get you gear. They can get you contacts. They can get you information. Your fixer is your sort of go-to agent, so to speak, for your shadow running. Make sense? Cool. So your agent's lined up a job for you, but let's hear a little bit more about your agent before we go on with that. Steven, you have any ideas for a name? We can start with the names, always fun.
I'm going to use that list because that list is actually really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad to find that, just in case I need some.
It used to just always be Mr. Johnson, right?
Well, so you have a Mr. Johnson, and that is an anonymous person who has a job for you. But your fixer, the Mr. Johnson might contact your fixer and say, hey, this is a job I need. The fixer says, oh, I know just the guys for that job and gals.
Fixer's almost more like a fence plus.
It could be a fence. Yep.
Oh, I got one. Okay, it's not from the list, but Johnny Novocaine.
Okay, Johnny Novocaine. When you hear Johnny Novocaine, Andrew, what image comes to your mind? What does this person look like?
As far as look goes, it's got that irrepressible white hair that's it was aiming for Guy Fieri, but ended up somewhere overblown dandelion.
Oh,
also wears a yellow Jubilee jump coat, raincoat, a Jubilee raincoat, and bright red luchador boots. And all of that was intensely fashionable 5 years ago.
Oh, yes, 5 years ago.
Also, an androgynous character. Don't ask, don't tell.
Androgynous. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Johnny?
rude. Gender is a passe construct, and you're really just supposed to be blown away by the fashion.
You got it, Johnny. And if there's one person who you don't want to misgender, it's your fixer, because then they will ice you out. Awesome. Okay. So Johnny Novocaine has reassured you that he's already checked this Johnson out. Right? This guy is like a mid-level nobody at Renraku. He's not a big guy. This is going to be a milk run. Don't worry. There's nothing complicated about this. He's already arranged a meet for you, and that is in a parking deck in this Renraku office building. As far as you know, seems pretty above board. And to be fair, while some of you have quite a lot of experience, you're a little bit new to this realm of things. New to Chicago for some, new to the shadows for others. Maybe you've put some shadowrunners away, but as a shadowrunner, you're new. So this sort of job is probably going to be given out to some folks who aren't as experienced.
So what floor is this on the parking garage?
This is 14B.
14th floor. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going up there without first stopping by the security office, telling them that there's an inspection and I have to check their hard drives to make sure they've got the right ID codes. And I'm going to look around the 5 floors each way to see if anything smells wrong.
Sure. And what sort of how do you have the capability of convincing them that this is an inspection? What have you brought to prepare for that?
Basically, what I'm going to do is go in and fumble with a paper clipboard and tell them that this is really not my thing. They've got all these new updates, and isn't it crazy? And I'm the tech guy that they really want to go away. And to sell it, I'm going to eat a huge onion sandwich before I go in.
Well, you know what? Clipboard and onion sandwich are pretty much the best disguises you can have with you at any time. This is just a parking deck. You know,
what do
they
you
have cameras. They're not worried about you. What's that?
What do you use for deception?
If these guys were competent at their job, I'd ask you to roll with charisma. But you know what? They're perfectly happy to go out and smoke break. You have access to check out the parking deck and kind of look around, see what you think.
Excellent. Also, do they have emergency? Are they up to code with their emergency exit equipment? Do they have some kind of rapid release to get down 14 floors in a hurry if you need to?
Oh, absolutely. They don't want anybody's expensive cars in the 14th floor to go up in flames. So anything you need, they have.
All right. I'm going to make sure I know exactly where that gear is.
Okay. Do you have, do you make a mental map? Do you implant the blueprints as you go? Are they recorded into your cyber brain? How does this work for you?
Yeah, I've got a wireframe auto mapper, but basically it's one of those things where he just doesn't like to walk in anywhere he doesn't know how to walk out of.
Yeah. And
the 14th floor means they want to control you coming and going, and that means they're probably not good people. So it's reflex.
So Ace, you're kind of going up here with Sharper, and he's really like going above and beyond, making sure that everything is secure. We're talking, you're hearing like a little ping, ping, ping from his wire, his auto mapper going over and over again. Might be driving you crazy after a while. Is this seeming excessive? Are you appreciating his dedication to excellence? What do you think?
I'm sorry, I missed. I heard all that except the beginning. Were you talking to me?
I said Ace, which does sound a little bit like Tejas, so I understand.
Oh yeah. So I'm coming up. I think. So is this like an elevator? I guess we're in. Or like, so we're going up to the 14th floor. Are we like in a car, or are we like, how are we getting up here?
Yeah, good question. Were you thinking the
I
elevator?
We'd arrive separately.
Oh, we're doing a separate arrival.
Well, I mean, unless we mob up somewhere and then go to meet the Johnson together. Are we a group, or is this an ad hoc kind of thing?
I think you guys have had sufficient experience with each other that this is, you when Johnny tells you about who's all in the club.
Well, in that case, I would tell the others, look, I like to pick up my part of the tab, but instead I'm going to provide some extra operational security, so you can go ahead and pay for my food, and I will make it a little less likely we'd be dead. On my way out, I'm going to get an onion sandwich and put that on the bill. Anybody who wants to come along is welcome too, but this is gross, and just need an extra half-hour head start.
Yeah, so maybe if so who would I be going in with then? Everybody else, I guess.
Well, who would? Yeah, let me hear from each of you. Who wants to go with Sharper? Who wants to let Sharper do his half-hour power hour? Who's doing? What's your idea here?
Kind of from what we talked about, I think Cloud Kills is at least getting a ride to the, because I think she probably does know him well enough to at least link the two of them up.
Sure.
On the other hand, I feel like this sort of like OCD inspection is part of the reason that he and I were, such longtime opponents as opposed to me catching him. And so now that we're friends, I'm kind of used to him. Well, now that we're work buddies, I'm probably used to him being this way. What I'm probably doing is helping him out. My meat body is somewhere else, and I'm actually projecting, kind of giving him some astral overwatch and, just sort of popping in for a moment if there's something he missed. But unless this area is unduly magically active, there's probably nothing to tell him, and I'm just sort of pointing out, hey, there's a big dead space of, tech to check out.
Yeah.
Mostly just sort of deferring to him.
There's no wards. There's no, except for the access points into the office building. They're not necessarily concerned about anybody astrally messing with the cars. But you can go through walls and you can fly through this building, because you're just in astral form right now. You could even go up and see your meat if you wanted to. Get an idea.
I have a feeling that they might have. If we got there early enough, which I kind of feel like we did, I'd go up to kind of check out the space. But I'm feeling like jobs tend to be there maybe a half hour early. I don't want to be standing there as they roll in. Rather, I want to kind of look at just from a PI point of view, okay, where could they be coming from in the first place if they're showing up? Because, this is a parking garage. Normally, you just have that single access point, and they're not going to do that to themselves. So where the heck are they coming from?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on just a second.
This does raise a question for me.
Yes.
Do they have advertising in the astral plane?
They have what in the astral plane?
Advertising.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that there might be some magically targeted ads. Come on down to Joe's.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, Joe's Magic Shack. Wow. I guess if you did some, I think they have different materials that you can use to leave some graffiti in the astral plane, so to speak. I don't know. Some mages might look not too fondly upon that. I bet there's some eco-terrorist groups with some magical ties that would not be happy to see humans polluting the astral plane.
It's just something, in such an overbuilt setting, is that something that even is controlled by a city zoning, Okay,
I never thought about that. That's a good idea.
Astral plane off I-43. What do you think? How are we going to charge for it? Because, hey, the people who are there are targeted. They have needs. They have needs for merchandise, goods and services.
I bet even with the city planning, they might even set up some sort of navigational help for people who are traversing the astral plane, because you can't really read a street sign when you're flying around as a ghost. So it's a good point.
I bet none of it's up to date.
Or
not in Chicago.
It starts shifting on its own. Yeah, for sure. There's a astral
I can see going into the astral plane and there's this clopping sound as a street sign that has gained sentience is escaping. Or someone's using it for a mount.
Right. So how about Cloud Kills? What is she up to?
So I think Cloud Kills is because again she is fairly naive. So she's not videotaping herself, but she is dictating into that Fuji Cybercam into the back as she's rolling up with Ace, and it's her pretty typical intro, which goes something like, "This is Cloud Kills, illuminating the shadows as always. Just for you, the viewer. We're about to meet with the Johnson. Definite repercussions here, worldwide repercussions. It's very. How do you feel?"
And I think you just see Ace is like completely covered with like, you know, vests and pockets and like all kinds of like little tools here and there, and you can see that like they've got black hair and their hair's back in a ponytail, and just have like they've got like goggles over their eyes, and I think they're just like leaning up against the side of this van, fiddling with something. There's like some drones moving around in the air, and they just kind of go like, hmm.
All right.
As you can see, there's a lot of excitement in the air right now. Anything could happen. Obviously, I can't dictate where the Johnson came from. More to come. Thank you.
Very cool. So I will say that you roll up to the 14th floor. You have already gotten a description from your fixer. He's even gotten this guy's name for you. It's just Daniel Simpson. He's just this mid-level Renraku exec. You know, there's not much more you need to know. Pretty clean record. You know, if you wanted to dig up more on him on the Matrix, which you probably have ahead of time, you wouldn't find anything too interesting, right? Resume, LinkedIn account, whatever. You know, nothing stands out about this guy. But Sharper, I just want to make sure you have every contingency plan you wanted to have in place. You have the escape route prepared. You have already tricked the guards, so you have some quiet time. Was there any other precautions you wanted to make before we start the meet with Mr. Johnson?
No, this is not a run. This is just a meet, you know. They got no reason to be paranoid. That would be weird. No, we just did our due diligence, you know. It's like paying interest on a loan. This doesn't touch the principal. It's just cost of doing business.
Yeah. And Bogey, are you still checking this meet out? Are you trying to get an astral perspective on things? Are your shoes back in the van? What's going on?
Mostly I wanted to make sure that there was nothing untoward, like bar guests in the back of an SUV that we weren't expecting, you know,
right.
Stuff like that. Spirits that were summoned and lurking just out of sight, since we wouldn't be able to see them from, you know, the meat plane. But other than that, I think in terms of, you know, just securing the area, I'd sort of defer to Sharper. The only thing I'm really doing right now is kind of keeping an eye out for, you know, where things look out of place, as opposed to, you know, what is getting set up for the meet.
And you're doing that in meat space, or
I'm
detective
not planning on actually. Well, okay, so I don't know how this goes in comparison to. In the old rules, you could, you know, you could manifest, and then you were basically their eyes and ears. You just couldn't physically interact.
Yeah, you can Yoda up as much as you want.
Basically, I'm there to be, you know, part of the meet manifesting,
so
but before that, yeah. So I'm walking in alongside them, just not physically.
Right. Now, as a manifested astral form, it's pretty clear that you are a spiritual, ethereal force, or do you look like yourself?
I definitely look like myself. I don't think I have the flexibility anymore to kind of falsify representing me. If anything, I maybe look a little more curmudgeonly and a little bit more beat up than you know, the people who see me in real life would think, just because that's sort of like the way I see myself.
Sure. Well, I will say from your astral reconnaissance, you did not see any creatures. There were magical creatures. You didn't see any spirits, nothing like that. He doesn't have any bodyguards waiting in the astral plane. You do see the astral form of one very nervous Daniel Simpson pacing back and forth. So you do get his emotional sense.
Okay. I'll go back to the group then and, kind of pop in, which I'm sure at the very least some of them are used to, and just say, hey, looks like he's not showing up in person per se. He's doing the same thing I am. I wasn't expecting him to be magically active, considering that he was a nobody.
Sorry, I meant just when you perceive his astral form, not his. He's not projecting. It's just his.
My mistake. Okay.
Right.
So
the perception of his spirit.
Then I say he's already there, so he's ready for us to roll in on him, I suppose.
So yeah, here's Daniel. When you get to see him, he's a middle-aged white guy, a little bit pudgy, but he's sweating bullets. He's in his cheap suit. Looks like it hasn't been ironed today, and he's just kind of pacing back and forth, waiting for you.
I sort of aside to them. Maybe saying he was ready for us to roll up was a little bit coloring the mark.
Yeah. So who takes charge? Who is the negotiator here? I know we have Sharper, who is the sort of more experienced individual, but who do you deflect to someone with more people skills or defer to them? What do you think?
I'm happy to go either way. I can provide a service, but I don't need the glory.
We've worked together a little bit before, seeing as we've all been contacted by Novocaine. So I'd say that we probably already kind of have figured out like who kind of does the talking when we get to a situation like this. I'm inclined to say Cloud Kills just because people deal with humans a little bit better than they deal with anybody else. Or I guess same thing could go for Sharper, but one of the two of them, it just kind of bypasses a few things if one of the round ears is doing all the talking.
Well, as he doesn't start
let's do rock, scissors, papers, and Cloud Kill. It's your turn. How's that sound?
All right. So Cloud Kills nods with a semblance of confidence, but inside she's got butterflies because she's not really done meets before. I think if we work together, I think she's maybe watched this happen once or twice, but she's definitely never led the charge on her own. Although you guys wouldn't necessarily know that, I think. So the camera goes in the pocket underneath her vest. She's definitely not videotaping anything, although she does leave the record on, which again she doesn't broadcast anybody. So she is recording sound.
So, the group you roll up and Daniel, he looks nervous, but he says, kind of whispers, "Are you with Johnny?"
I stifle a smirk, kind of cover my mouth like this, and just sort of look away, kind of pull my brim down over my head, and look to the girl.
Okay, Cloud Kills stifles the urge to look around to either of the guys behind her, and says, "Of course we are. Are you Daniel?"
I'm Mr. Johnson. I should have known. You guys are professionals. Oh, man. Well, that's good. I need professionals. Hey, look, I picked a spot. No cameras, okay? So this is totally legit. There's nothing. I need some help. I need some help.
That's right. Everything's off the record.
Okay. Cool. It's complicated. I don't want to get into it, but a friend of mine, I gave a piece of jewelry, very nice piece of jewelry, one of a kind, ruby necklace. Okay. My friend has kind of gone off the grid, and I want to get the necklace back. That's all I want.
Okay. So you want a basic extraction of this necklace. You don't care about the individual who you gave it to.
Just the necklace. That's all I'm worried about here. Okay, that's it.
All right.
Listen. I'm prepared to give you each 1,000 new yen, and to sweeten the pot, I'll put 2,000 up front. Easy peasy. Nothing to worry about here. Simple job.
Daniel, let me make this easy for you because I can tell that this is your first time to do this.
I really wish you'd come.
We're going to need a lot more money up front in order to make this happen. We're going to be talking maybe 400 apiece plus 3,000 up front. If you actually want this job done, we're professionals. We do this every day.
You're just getting a necklace. What do you need all that money for?
Well, I guess if it's not that important, we walk. And she turns around and starts to go the other way.
Oh, okay. Look. I don't know a lot of guys, okay, that know a lot of guys. So I'm very lucky that I happened to bump into Johnny Novocaine, okay? So please, I can make a deal. How about you roll with charisma for me to see what kind of a deal he will offer?
Okay. Now we all see that I rolled terribly. Okay, there's so much stuff on the sheet that I can't tell where anything is.
What color are your dice?
I just changed them to orange.
Oh yeah, stuff is flying all over the place.
Okay, so I'm submitting right now with orange.
Okay.
And I got a 6 plus 2, so I got an 8.
Okay. I can't do that much. Okay. I spent a lot of money on the necklace. Here's what I'll offer: 1,500 each, 3,000 up front. That's the best I could do for you. I think I'll have enough time if I get that one client, and then I have the Johnson folder to do. Okay. Yes, I can do 1,500 each, 3,000 up front.
Okay. At this point, she sort of like fidgets just a little bit because she's not quite sure if she has the authority to make this call. And again, she resists the urge to look over at Sharper. And instead, she sticks her hand out because she's afraid of making a mistake. So she sticks her hand out to shake hands.
Johnny's going to be real happy to hear about this. You folks are going to do great. I'm sure of it.
While he's doing his thing, I'm just kind of looking at the swirl of his aura, and I'm kind of curious what is pushing his buttons. Is it when she mentions the money that, he starts getting desperate, or is it when she says, okay, we're going to walk? Like, is he desperate for us to be there, or is he desperate to keep the price down?
Interesting. Well, let's see. So when you kind of look at his astral swirling form, it's more like emotion things, right? So you see when he talks about his friend, you see some kind of like quick pain kind of flash up, and when he talks about the money, it's a lot of calculations going on. This guy, he's a middle manager. He knows how to wheel and deal, so it's mostly thinking. But you don't. There's nothing threatening, I would say, from his emotional state that might concern you.
Like, I'm trying to figure out, is his whole "I'm such a newbie" thing, is it just an act? Because if he's a middle manager, he does this negotiation stuff like as a living, and it seems kind of weird that he's this sort of like put out by us. I guess it's possible that he's just never been around runners before, but it seems like he should be comfortable. Like, this should be his element. Maybe not the, parking garage, but the dealing with people over money. So him being uncomfortable seems weird to me.
Why don't you roll with intelligence here?
Okay.
That's just 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier.
I think that's an 11.
Okay.
12, sorry, with the modifier.
Oh, even better. Well, pretty good. So you can get pretty much from this guy. He is low on cash. You can tell that. You can kind of tell by his crumpled suit, right? The money is tight right now. It sounds like he really was telling the truth when he said he spent a lot of money on this necklace. right? So it seems like he's trying to recoup those losses. And you also notice in your inspection of him his wedding ring, right? And you kind of see as you're making a closer eye on this guy, he keeps kind of reaching down towards his wedding ring and kind of feeling towards that during the negotiation. So he's thinking about his partner in some way. Was there any other information, any other questions you wanted to kind of get answered from that result?
More or less, I'm trying to figure out, is he playing us straight? Like, are the things he's saying really what he means, or is he, being duplicitous? And if it seems like he's representing the situation, honestly, then I'm not too worried about it. I
He's being guarded.
Yeah.
It sounds like he doesn't want to talk about the relationship with his friend too much, but he is being honest with you. He's not trying to deceive you or pull one over on you.
Okay.
And yes, this is his first time, and he's a little nervous. So.
Okay. I probably step up near Cloud Kills then, and just kind of say sort of softly, seems on the level to me. Ask him if how are we supposed to find Milady de Winter and her earrings,
So, Cloud Kills, how do you feel shaking the hand and being reassured by Bogey? Does that give you some comfort?
Yeah, sure. So Cloud Kills is starting to sink into this idea that she's a real pro, that she's actually doing it. So she's a little more confident when she asks, I assume you're going to download all the pertinent information to us about where to find this necklace and what kind of opposition, if any, we might face?
My friend is not returning my calls. I don't know where she went, but I can give you. I have this. Here's a data chip. It has her name, her address. I saw her a few days ago. Haven't heard from her, and more like a week ago. It's just I'm starting to get a little antsy, I guess. I want my necklace back. That's all I want to say. So he's claiming up a bit. But the data chip does have an address for you and a name, Victoria Gutierrez. You have information there. You have her SIN, which is her SIN or identification number, so you can look her up in public records if you wanted to, and you know how to get to this address.
Okay. Daniel, one last question. It seems like a fairly standard missing persons. Why didn't you simply go to law enforcement with this? Why do you need people of our expertise?
Going to law enforcement means filing a report. Filing a report means making a public document. Anyone, and he's reaching towards his ring a little bit here, can look at public documents and police reports. I also don't think that the police are too excited about being repo men. So.
Okay, Cloud Kills gives a nod. You'll have our full discretion. What's the timeline?
I mean, let me. He pulls up like a little wrist-mounted kind of calendar app thing, and he's looking through there. Oh, I've got this appointment, and then 3 days. Can you do it in 3 days?
Cloud Kills pales a little bit and sort of stumbles.
I'm not asking you to drive out to Detroit, okay? You should be here in town, I bet.
3 days. 3 days then. And she regains her composure and again sticks her hand out because she doesn't really know what else to do.
Okay, and he kind of shakes your hand again.
And then she sort of very formally steps back away from Daniel and prepares to turn around and leave.
Yeah. Wow, they really are pros. Okay. Oh, crap, my lunch break's almost over. And he kind of runs towards the elevator. So you have your first clue to Victoria, the friend's whereabouts. You have basically just her address. That's all you have right now. But since we are good ways in, hour and 20 minutes, I'd like for us to take a quick 5-minute bio break, and we'll come back and the search will continue. Sound good?
Cool.
Sorry, this is the first time I haven't been available for bedtime with my daughter, so I might need to reposition so she can't hear me through the wall.
No problem.
How you been, Michael? I haven't seen you in a while.
No, it has been a while. It's been good. I'm feeling very optimistic with the new year. You know, it's bringing in good vibes.
You seem to be doing a lot of gaming, man.
I kind of signed up maybe for too much. You just get so excited. You see all these cool games. You're like, oh, I could probably fit that in somewhere. But yeah, it's like a bit of mini con this weekend for me. 3 games.
Yeah, good for you.
That's what happens when you sign up to run games ahead of time and you're like, well, kind of have to add that to my playtime too. Didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I think I'll have to be in touch about scheduling for these sessions, because I think there may be like 1 or 2 of them I might have to miss out on.
That's cool.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
It's just Monday morning is kind of variable.
Yeah.
Fortunately, everything was open this morning, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. And I think there's some people on the wait list, so it'll work out. I wanted to point one thing out too. On Roll for Your Party, I got some clocks up. I like sharing those with people so that everyone can get as excited and anxious as me.
Yeah.
I'm borrowing clocks from the Sprawl a little bit. These are just things that help me organize my ideas for pacing and stuff. So you're going to see there's a legwork clock. That's kind of like your heat for maybe what sort of stuff you're stirring up while you're looking into things. So the legwork part of the mission that we're about to jump into now, if you are a little too loud or something like that, you might see that clock advance. And that might lead to the action clock advancing, which is sort of your mission countdown clock that when you actually get to the mission part of the session, things get progressively more dire. And I hope you get out before clock strikes 12, so to speak. Got it?
Yeah, for sure. Played this Sprawl before, so I know how it works.
Kind of like that, yep. There's some things I really like about the Sprawl. Some things I'm still not sure of. So I wanted to go super light. That's World of Shadows. Okay, we have everyone back with us. Tejas, I just pointed out that on Roll for Your Party, I have clocks up now. Those are just ways to track your progress and track how much attention you're drawing to yourselves and the heat of the mission, so to speak. So keep an eye on those as we're going forward. Okay, so you have in your hands the last known address of Victoria Gutierrez. You have her name and her identification, so you could look her up if you wanted to, but I want to know what each of you is doing to investigate these matters further to try to track down this necklace.
My recommendation is that we go to a noodle shop nearby. I know of a good one. They got lots of sauces. I like the sauces. And then maybe we could come up with a plan and divvy it up, yeah? Not the sauces.
I'm always down with eating.
I like noodles.
Cloud Kills is fingering the chip she just got, and she says, yeah, that sounds good. Did I do okay, Sharper?
You did a great job. Now, let's go knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I think I just say, yeah, but maybe this time lay off the onions, okay?
That's a good idea.
So cut to your favorite noodle shop. Let's I'll say, Kyle, since you live in Japan, can you give us a good name for a noodle shop?
Sure. Yeah.
You're just looking
Oh,
out your
man.
window.
Like, no, I was just thinking because it's like there's a street like 2 blocks away that has like 800 ramen shops on it. So, uh, I don't know, like Kanemaru or something. That's
Kanemaru.
fine.
Kanemaru
Yeah.
noodles.
All right. So my thought is first we see what kind of a lady she is. That determines which one of us is most likely to be successful in talking to the people around her in her life. Second, we got to figure out who she knows who can help her get off the grid. Slipping your sin is not an easy thing to do. Once we have an idea of those things, that'll give us a sense of how to proceed because it is likely she has the help of someone more menacing than Mr. Rumpled is going to tell us about. We got to get a sense of the real picture here now.
Do we know that she's slipped her sin? I mean, he just might not be able to find her. She might be stashed in a coffin hotel somewhere.
Well, that's what I'm saying. As soon as we log into check out her profile and her accounts, we'll have an idea. If she's dropped off the grid for a solid week, nobody drops off the grid for a week.
So, Cloud Kills, I imagine you have a nice little cyber deck. You probably even have a little holo projector that you can shoot out that can show this information to everybody. The way sins are tracked in Shadowrun, let's say that maybe like recent purchases might be tied to that or something like that. And you see that basically she hasn't purchased anything in 4 weeks. She hasn't used public transportation. She hasn't been to a medical appointment, anything like that.
4 weeks?
I say 4 weeks. I think I was thinking 1 week and 4 days at the same time. Let's go with 1 week.
That feels way better. Okay.
Okay.
So
And the way I picture, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering how classy she is. I mean, if there's any like stratospheric, I mean, because we're totally class bound here, so it's going to affect who can talk to her people.
Sure. So we're just looking at receipts we're thinking for that?
Well, does she
Something
have Facebook?
Oh,
I
interesting.
mean, if she's in public, if she's on social media, I mean, not only that, but we've got a hacker who can go a level deeper, like with advertiser access into her social media, and then we'll know everything we need to know.
Well, she has a social media page. It is set to private.
Well, I could try to crack that, I guess, and access it anyway, couldn't I? That shouldn't be too difficult.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, just pretend to be an advertiser. They've got like back doors like a speakeasy.
So I'm imagining here it's like the local Chicago BBS is basically what you're looking to crack into here.
Yeah, yeah.
Windy Lands.
Yeah, Windy Lands BBS since 2019, you know. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Cloud Kills, this is probably stuff you do for fun. You know, this is how you got started, just, you know, cracking people's old passwords.
Harassing local
right?
journalists.
Yeah, this is like doxing or something. I mean, this is just...
You know what? You're even able to just guess her password. What is it?
Happy Fish 123.
How'd you know she was into fish? Is that her?
She is now.
Is there like profile picture her holding up a fish that she's caught?
Yeah, let's say it is.
Old
Cool,
receipts are commonly going to this one pet store that's known for their saltwater tropical fish supply for the rich and trendy.
I like that.
So yeah, okay. You see that you look through her pictures, her public pictures that she's posted and stuff, and she's mostly a private person. You see a couple pictures of her with Daniel as you go through, you know, more recently. They look like they're pretty happy together.
Is it possible for you to put together some kind of algorithm to do a scrub to see which of her friends mentions her as a chatty Cathy?
Yeah. Yeah, that's doable. I mean, within a half-hour time period, that would be pretty easy to make.
Well, I mean, not to interrupt this flow of information, but to say, You know, just because one person is well behaved and has good internet hygiene doesn't mean their friends are.
Mm.
No, it's
So,
pretty easy to basically, so like Cloud Kills in the Matrix looks like this kind of happy little puffy green yellow like cloud demon thing. And so what she essentially does is like tears off a portion of her arm and reshapes it into this other much smaller cloud demon thing, and she shoots it off into the Matrix and it performs that search. So
Cool.
that's what it sort of visually looks like.
So you got your little scrub program going on, kind of collecting information in time.
so what does her address tell us about who she is?
Yeah, I wish I'd looked up Chicago maps a little bit more. It's been a while since I lived there, but I'm guessing she lives in something like Wicker Park or Lincoln Square or something like that. So something maybe
Someplace with a doorman.
it would not be a place with a doorman.
Okay.
We're talking like apartment buildings, things like that. Maybe a little bit more trendy, but at the same time,
Rent controlled yuppie.
maybe like more like hipster type age and stratosphere kind of thing. Like maybe
And
2 or
also
3 baristas living together, sort of thing.
see if any of her friends have been flagged for law enforcement watch lists.
Mm. So as you're doing that scrubbing program, right? It's looking up her old friends and things, people who are referring to her, and you kind of look at this timeline, right? Where a few years ago, you see some people who have some kind of criminal elements and stuff like that. You see her. Let's say she's from Denver. Originally, that's where you find this profile before is in a different city, but that kind of drops off, and then a year ago you start to see more presence on the social media on the Chicago BBS. You're starting to reach out a bit more. You start to see her hanging out with Daniel about 6 months ago, and it's utterly kind of benign, kind of banal. It looks like your assessment is that you got a fresh start here in Chicago, doing things with Daniel.
Is she human?
She's human. You can tell from her brown skin and dark hair that she's probably of a Latin descent, things like that.
Family.
And go ahead.
I was just wondering, is there any family, or does she not have her family connected to her social media?
That's one thing you see is no family connections. You're not seeing any family pictures, anything like that. And then
I just say, I wonder. I've always been wondering if this was some kind of job. I used to have friends who did this kind of work back in the day. Find a big fish, get some jewels, get some money, get out, find new identity, move on to the next one.
Could be. Although it does
It's
seem
possible
like
that he's a mark, sure.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is that we probably don't all need to sit at this noodle shop once Cloud Kills has her ideas of what she's going to start looking for on the internet. I say I might be better served to hit the streets for talking to people and meet back up with you guys in a couple of hours.
And that's why we were doing this, is to get a sense of where we might be best used. For example, I'm thinking that it might be useful if you go talk to her work contacts.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, once we know the neighborhood, from what you're saying, sounds like it's a pretty high foot traffic sort of place. I was going to check out these receipts, see which shop she stops in at, and maybe talk up the folks there, see what they know about her, see if they've seen her, see what the last time they saw her was, that sort of thing. But
that's a good plan.
Yeah.
No, I think it might also be a good plan for Cloud Kills to be somebody from Denver looking for her. Bat the pretty eyelashes. You look like you're about the same age. Look like you might have had similar interests. How does that feel?
Yeah, I can do that.
The only other thing I was going to suggest, it's the classic case. You see the way that Simpson was twisting on that wedding ring. We might want to do a little legwork on him, find out who his significant other is, because it wouldn't be the first time some some lady friend has decided that the other woman needs to be removed from the picture, or at the very least, maybe rule out that possibility if we're trying to hunt her down. Look, for all we know, Mrs. Simpson might already have her necklace back.
Ace, what do you think about doing some spying on our employer?
Oh, no problem. It's just points to the drones, the surveillance drones I got.
Excellent. As for myself, I'm going to buy myself a new suit, and then I'm going to go and see if I can buy a ruby necklace. Check the local black market. Make it known I'm interested as a buyer. How's that sound?
I might be able to help with that. I think Ace had a good idea. Maybe if I checked her bank accounts and see if there's been a large deposit lately, I can rule out her selling the...
important for you to check that bank account and see what's happened there. I guarantee you, if she sold the necklace, she didn't put the money there.
Okay. Cloud Kills is going to hack back in or deck back in really quick before we all take off.
Yeah. So
I mean, we'll all need some information about her patterns and movements. What I need to know is if she knows anyone who might be a fence.
the last piece of information that you get from her social media before you move on to looking at her things, you're taking a little bit more closer look at the most recent posts. About a month ago, she starts talking about her posts, her statuses, what have you, start to become a little bit more kind of like philosophical, right? Or like motivational speaking type thing, you know? Like, take life by the horns, you know? Think positive thoughts and positive things will come to you. And you start to see her talk about some experiences she's had with the Universal Brotherhood, which you're familiar with as sort of like a local. I mean, honestly, the easiest comparison is Scientology, right, in our culture. But you know,
that's
it's sort of
burying the lead. Cloud Kills.
Yeah, it's a little quasi spiritual. But you know, they do good, right? They feed the homeless, right? Yeah. So
I have thoughts about that, but I tell you what, I am a despairing and sad old man. I need some kind of meaning for my life, which is currently riddled with regrets. I think I need to check into this church. It may be just the thing to give me the ruby necklace that will regain my sense of meaning.
Well, give me a minute. I'll come with you. That's
just a second. I got to check you for pathos. Okay, you can come.
That set off her reporter alarm internally.
So whereas Sharper might find more solace in, you know, stabbing someone, I think your opinion that they're, you know, not that great of an organization is probably pretty uncommon. I think in the larger community, even in some parts of the Shadowrunner community, they are well regarded, and they're thought of like these are the one people who are trying to do good for the disenfranchised, right? When the corporations and the cops are all trying to beat people down, these are people who seem to actually be trying to do some good.
I'm willing even though that's how they started. I'm willing to believe that's how they started.
Yes, well, you are. I'm sure Sharper is quite the cynic, so that's cool.
And I think maybe I've had some dealings with them. Like maybe they were doing operations down in Puyallup, like providing relief to people, like passing out some kind of volcanic ash protection stuff, that kind of thing.
They're legendary in the Barrens for sure. Yeah, I think you've had nothing but good experiences in Puyallup with them. Okay, so we're thinking. Sounds like Sharper and Cloud Kills want to go check out the local chapter house, the Universal Brotherhood, the one that's closest to Victoria's apartment. We said Bogey wants to go and hit the streets and kind of look at the areas around her home, receipts for places she shopped at. Sharper had mentioned maybe looking at the black market, but we might come back to that later. And what about you, Ace? I wanted to nail down your idea.
I believe it was to surveil her workplace. So, where was
Are you
she working?
surveilling her workplace or Daniel's workplace?
Her workplace.
Okay.
Yep.
I think she was working at as a secretary at a advertisement agency in town.
Okay. Yeah. So, I think it might be like, so I guess she's probably like using public transit. How is she getting around?
From the records, you don't see any vehicles assigned to her
Right.
name, so she's using public
Right.
transit.
You
You
know-
did see from the records that she hadn't used public transit in a week.
Right.
If you want to attract attention, if you want to get information about her workplace without going in and talking to people, I have a suggestion. Put a listening device in a batch of flowers and have them delivered to her desk. Co-workers will come and speculate.
Sure. I've got some gear. I've got some gear. I can do that. No problem.
Cool.
Yeah. So I probably like do the order. Let's see here. Yeah, I wonder if I guess I have some kind of apartment or somewhere I could work out of. Like, maybe I just like rent like a cheap hotel room and then get the pickup arranged there. And yeah, drop the listening device in the card that comes with the flowers, right?
Well, you could probably just go to the flower shop and just like stick it in the soil. Get one of the disposable ones.
Oh yeah, if it was like a potted flower, yeah, sure, no problem.
I mean, if you need to include a card, you could say something like, "To Victoria, you know why."
Yeah. To Victoria for the memories or some extremely vague thing like that.
Right, and then whatever suspicions they have about their coworker will suffer. They will surface at that point because humans are bubbling cesspools of speculation.
Yeah.
You don't have to give them information; just give them a void, and they will fill it.
Oh, you're right about that.
I want to get back to Bogey's foot patrol first, but I do just want to follow that lead real quick because I know that it's not going to be super exciting. You all don't know that, but I do. So you plant your flowers. You hear flower delivery for Victoria Gutierrez. This her desk. It's like, yeah, Victoria hasn't been here for a while though. The guy's already out the door. He doesn't sit around to wait. You hear saying, wow, I mean, can't believe Victoria, haven't seen her in a whole week. But, she was just a temp, so guess it's to be expected. Nobody bothered to look into her. No call, no show. You know what I mean? You're out of here into this business.
Yeah, well, I guess it's good to know that she was a temp. That's something.
Well, I heard she's been a temp for a while. She sounds like one of those serial temps. Just can't seem to find their purpose in life. Don't know. They have no ikigai. It's horrible. But hey, she's just a secretary. No offense, Janet. You're great. You're great. We're really liking you here. You're a great asset to the company. But is anybody worried about her? I mean, no call, no show. Shouldn't somebody get in touch with her? Well, I'm sure she's fine. Just probably drunk or some, on some bender. Who cares? We don't need that kind of work ethic around here anyway. So that's basically all you get from her place of work.
All right.
So we'll come back to a more interesting surveillance from you in a minute. Bogey, what is your plan of attack? You get to her street. Her
first thing I want to do is just check out her actual apartment. Just do like a either front door when somebody's coming in with their arms loaded and they're sitting there trying to struggle with their groceries and whatever else. They hit the unlock on the door and they can't manage the door. I'm like, oh, I'll grab that for you.
Right.
Let them in and then just kind of step in right behind them. Mostly just looking to see if there's like forced entry to her apartment door. And then if she's gone missing, for all we know, the necklace might still be in her place. So I was gonna case the place.
Yeah.
And then, if that doesn't yield anything, then I start checking off the, just like I'm sure I've got like a little PDA that has the list of receipts, and then put down the addresses and just start doing like from the closest place to her apartment building to further away, maybe stopping at the ones that she had been to the most, because that'll be the places where the people will remember her the most, and go in and talk to people. Um, and since I have contacts as one of my abilities, I kind of maybe like the idea that, if I'm there, it might turn out that, maybe an old CI that I have is now working at a coffee shop that she walks in, and maybe I come in and actually like am able to say like, hey, wait a second, I can't believe you're here. Well, maybe you know this girl, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, so first thing, it's really easy to get into her apartment building. This is a pretty low crime neighborhood.
Okay.
They don't. If you hold the door open for somebody, you can follow them right in. Nobody's concerned. You come up to her apartment building, and her door is open.
Oh,
Doesn't
like
look like it was
not even
kicked open. Just swung open.
okay. I kind of take a quick look around just to see if there's any nosy neighbors who would either make note of the fact that I'm walking in, because they might be somebody who would notice when she walks out, and then let myself in.
Yeah. Honestly, doors are all closed. Doesn't seem like anybody's really watching out for this lady. You walk in, and there's a woman standing at the kitchen counter, marking off on a clipboard. She says, "Oh."
I just kind of like, as soon as I notice that, I knock on the door as if like my knocking accidentally opened it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
Pardon me, I didn't realize it wasn't latched.
Oh, are you here to check out the property?
I nod. I'm like, well, obviously not for myself. You get asked to come around places and report back on, what are the toiletries like? What are the fixtures? Is the tile just so?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this place, this neighborhood, it's a great location. Wonderful plumbing. Last tenant was great. No pets, no smoking. Everything's all clean here. Yeah.
I like hold out my PDA to like get over whatever she wants to beam to me on like the apartment specs, and
Right.
while I'm doing that, I kind of look around to see, does it look staged or does it look abandoned, like they've still got the old tenants Gutierrez's like furniture in there? Does it look like they've cleaned up after her? Because, like I said, maybe the necklace is still there, but if they're looking to rent it out again, they might have gotten all her stuff. And I was going to say, I didn't think I saw this property on the lists even a week ago. This is a quick turnaround time. The chances I jumped on this fast, but what happened? Sometimes that quick turnaround time kind of means there's something wrong.
I assure you, there's nothing to worry about. Even in a neighborhood like this, sometimes you got to deal with those stubborn tenants, who when you got a victim. But no, the last tenant, she was actually, she kind of just paid up her balance, and all of her. It's not furnished. Sorry, she took all of her furniture with her. This is it. It's a studio apartment. Lovely windows here. I think that they're recently, probably a few years old. They're pretty good.
Yeah. Without like, spending too much time chatting her up, since there's a couple other places I want to go, I kind of throw out a few quick inquiries about like, how soundproof is it? Do you hear your neighbors? Are you allowed to have cats? Like all of the sort of stuff that's probably on that brochure anyway.
Right.
But as I keep doing it, really what I'm doing is kind of disarming her so that I can ask her a few questions about like, was this paid up in cash? Because we know that there's no expenditure of her like, paying off her room, at least on her bankrolls. And
so you're asking her these kind of normal questions, about
yeah,
utilities. When does the
I just try to
trash
spatter in so it's not real obtrusive. Like,
Yeah.
When did she pay up? How did she settle up? Are we allowed to, do certified cred stick? I try to hide the questions while I'm interrogating her.
So before you get to the kind of more interrogative questions, she offers, like, wow, I'm just glad to have somebody come around who's actually asking normal questions.
Huh.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You got all sorts of... Why, who was the last person? Sounds like you got some weirdos in.
Some kind of a PI. He was asking about my tenant. He was asking all these questions. Really odd fellow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, PIs leave cards and stuff. Do they have a name? Because I got to come around and report this back to the people who asked me come out and scout.
Well, I maybe, since you're a scouter, if you let them know that the property was checked out by a law enforcement official ahead of time, do you think that would sweeten the deal?
Well, if you're asking me, will my client be willing to pay more? I can't represent their interests that way, but, and I kind of look at her sideways like, us middle people are doing stuff on the side. But while I do that, I take that opportunity to kind of look sideways and flash my eyes over to the astral and see if there's any, like, bad juju hanging over the place.
Sure.
And, I just give her some sort of, like, empty platitudes and say, oh, yeah, I'm sure that they'd be willing to pony up a little bit extra, but you didn't hear that from me.
She said, oh, well, give me one moment. I think I put it in my bag. Let me go and get his card for you. So she steps away. If you want to roll with, I think intelligence would be good to see if you get any psychic residue.
Okay. Ooh. 4 + 2 is a 6, but my intelligence is a +1, so I'm at a 7.
Oh, almost got that. 6 from you. So you look around the apartment, and when a person lives at a residence for enough time, they do kind of leave sort of a psychic residue there if you look closely. It's nothing that really necessarily, shines up at you. But you get a little bit of a sense of Victoria as a person, even without her furniture here, you can tell she was pretty neat and clean and things like that. You don't sense a lot of fear or anything like that. She felt comfortable in this space.
But nothing that indicates why she'd just out of nowhere, emotional sort of, you go into the bedroom and suddenly there's a hot spot of angst that might be like, oh, she might have got some bad news.
Right.
And fled the place or whatever.
Yeah, nothing like that. And there doesn't seem to be any sort of magical, after effects here, right? There's no spell trails or anything like that.
Okay.
Pretty clean.
And probably the last thing is I get that card from the salesperson. I'm assuming that she represents the the building agency or whatever.
I think she's a private landlady. She owns property.
She owns property. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there are lots of high rises in this sprawl here. I think this is still like an apartment building size thing.
But I'm gonna kind of use the excuse of my clients are not real knowledgeable about the neighborhood. Did the old client have a move to address so they can contact them and just kind of get hey, where's the best place for rolls? Where how these hoity-toity folks are. Mostly, I just want to see, does she even have contact information versus she has no idea.
I don't know if she wants to give this information out to you so readily, but if you want to try rolling with charisma, we can see what you can get.
And I guess part of what I'm looking for is she just not wanting to tell me because it's a casual sale, or does she not even have it in the first place and she's just trying to hide the fact that she's that's what I'm looking for anyway.
Roll with charisma. Let's see what we get.
Okay. 7 + 1, I think, is an 8.
Okay. We'll come back to that result. Steven, are you with us? Okay, cool. Cloud Kills and Sharper, where are you at?
Well, I can wear the same grungy outfit I had for the meet.
Yeah, lots.
And I still smell of onions, so I'm like prepared.
So you're sitting in a Universal Brotherhood meeting.
All right, so before we go in there, let's go ahead and set this up so we can. I can be the foil for you. How does that sound?
Yeah, whatever you think.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm Grandpa, and I'm thinking about leaving everything to this church, moving in, becoming, marinating in their religiosity. And you're representing the family who's concerned, that I'm doing this thing that I haven't thought it through. So you can ask questions, probing, penetrating questions.
Okay, that sounds good. But I've only heard good things about these guys. It seems like they're really on the up and up.
Would you be worried if one of your relatives who was supposed to leave you a lot of money left it to them instead?
If any of my relatives was supposed to leave me a lot of money, I would have stolen it by now.
But that's because you're naughty. I have to pretend to be a nice girl for this. Not too nice.
I'll do my best.
Here's the thing. There are ideas, and ideas are good. They attract people. And when people get together to do a thing, it creates structure, right? Then people get into a structure and it becomes a source of power. That's what this is. A source of power.
Right. Can you dictate that again real quick? That sounded great. I'd like to get that on a spot. And she holds her Fuchi up to your mouth.
Look at it.
And she's not videoing. She's just recording.
Lean in and say, green. And then just we'll head in.
You heard it here first. Cloud Kills, illuminating the shadows.
So
just remember, these are people.
These are people. And as you enter into the lobby of this building, the exterior is nothing too extravagant. There's a sign above that says Universal Brotherhood. There's an alley in the back where they have a line for a soup kitchen. You're going in during the day, during normal visiting hours. Big glass windows on the front, flanked by old office buildings. There's probably they seem kind of maybe run down. There might not be a lot of tenants there. But it's in the same neighborhood as Victoria's apartment. So kind of maybe like some older buildings that have been renovated. That's kind of what we're looking at here. And as you go in, there's stands with brochures and reading material, things like that. And there's a front desk, and there's a woman at the front desk. She's like secretary. Got the wide shoulder pads.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm looking for someone who is in charge, someone who might be able to have the authority to create binding contracts.
I think you'll find that the person you're looking for is inside of you. If you just take charge of your life. That's what we teach here at the Universal Brotherhood.
I'm actually prepared to do my end of a binding contract, but I don't want to stick it to myself. I already have all my things.
I'm not quite sure how I can direct your needs. You said you want to speak to perhaps maybe one of our upper level individuals.
If I were to offer you a contract to sign on behalf of your organization, could you do it? The answer is no, you couldn't. You're a receptionist. Higher up the ladder.
That's true. I mostly sign for packages.
I'm just trying to make this simple for you.
Well, I don't mean to be rude, sir, but I am very unfamiliar with this task. I don't have any memory of us ever having any binding contracts to sign. We don't tend to make any sort of
Nobody
contracts.
leaves you last will and testaments. Nobody signs any reverse mortgages over to you. There's no transition of assets.
All the financials. We're a not-for-profit. I think if any financial things happen,
not-for-profit have expenses all the same.
Sure, we need to feed our the lonely and destitute. Absolutely, you know. Um, perhaps
That's okay. I mean, if you're busy, if this is too difficult, I can go elsewhere.
I
That would
could
make
give
my
you an
granddaughter
email
very happy.
address. I could give you an email address to our financial department. I'm sure that someone could help you there.
Oh, okay.
But
Go ahead and do that.
can I just say, you have very beautiful eyes,
Yes, thank you.
but I detect a loneliness in them. A
I
sense
have
of,
a gaping spiritual abscess that I'm looking to fill.
wow, wow, that's so honest and vulnerable of you.
I've been so corrupted by money. I cannot tell you what it has done to me. It has eaten away at me like sugar, pulling a tooth to pieces until all that's left is a pulp of pain resonating in an empty hole where once there was the protective shell of enamel, like a raw exposed nerve. So
And
that the things that once gave me pleasure now are searing pain. And I looked for a way to solve that neediness which has emerged in my soul. And I can only think of doing it by unburdening.
Cloudkill grabs his arm and says, "Are you still thinking about donating money?"
Well, I was thinking about it, but she doesn't want to do that. So I'm thinking I'll have to do this another way.
I think we're getting to the real root of the problem here, sir. What was your name again?
Well, oh, I can't tell you that. That's part of the. You see, I'm dying. But while I'm still alive, it would be too problematic for my business partners to know I'm doing a thing like this.
Well, sir, I don't mean to be a gossip, but I'll let you know that while we do tailor to the destitute and the homeless, there are many very financially successful individuals who are also feeling that same loneliness and emptiness
I know. I've
that
talked to a
money
number
can't
of them, and that's why
provide.
I've come here, looking to unburden myself. But you're making it difficult. I still have my burdens strapped to me, tied to me like suicide bombs.
Let me tell you, sir, you can call me Judy.
I'm not going to call you Judy.
Oh, well, that's fine. Maybe in time we will come to call each other brother and sister.
I'll call you that, sister.
Brother, I'm sure that we can get those financial contracts figured out someday in time, but I think the real burning issue here is that you need to get into one of our affirmation sessions.
You know what's great, sister? Is when the people that you work for find out that I walked out of these doors, considering they've been running around working with organizations, trying to get minor donations into the group, trying to achieve some level of stability, they're going to be very upset with you, sister.
I think that they
That's
won't be
really not my
upset with
problem.
either of us because they'll know that you'll come back one day, hopefully
You know how
before you
many
die,
chapters
to
there
get
are
help.
in Chicago alone?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Whatever's more convenient for you.
All right. So I'm going to leave.
Okay.
Now, if you want to look around this place, you're welcome to do it.
Okay, and I think as Sharper is leaving, Cloudkills is going to walk up to Judy and say, "Judy, do you really think you can help people?"
I know we can. You know why? Because there was once a time where I was just like that man, feeling empty, feeling purposeless and lost. The Universal Brotherhood, and she points to like the big sign behind her with like a sun. It helped me unleash my inner abilities of
And and
confidence.
and how did it do that? What could you do for my grandfather if he needed your help? As he obviously does, apparently.
All can be revealed if you attend our affirmation session. We have one starting in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah,
Just one second. Just 1 second. I'll be right back. And
I hope you will.
Cloudkills runs out and grabs Sharper and says, they're starting a session. I don't know what's going on, but do you think we should stay for this?"
Oh, why not? Let's do it.
Hang on, let me make sure that I'm recording. Let's go.
All right.
Brother, you've returned.
Sister, walk past your desk.
Third door on your left, affirmation session. Brother Carlos will be sharing his story. Oh, and by the way, please no personal recording equipment. We like to keep things private for our.
So did
for our
she see
guests.
my camcorder's like in my pocket? Did she see that or sense that or what?
Nope. Just so you can be a little bit more of a rebel.
Probably yes.
Okay, yeah, I am definitely going to keep on recording.
Okay. So you are going into the affirmation session. I want to cut to Ace.
Sure.
You did not get much fruit from your office investigation. What is your next idea?
So we've checked the apartment. We've checked the workplace. So she doesn't have transit records. I mean, it's pretty clear that she's gone dark somewhere. So I'm not sure if there's an obvious place to surveil, per se. I mean, I think she must have gone through the UB branch that my comrades or my coworkers here are already at. So I'm wondering if there's some way I could use my let's see, what are they called? Just want to get the exact
Your surveillance drones, right?
Yeah. So you get
a small flying recon and a treaded combat.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I can use my small flying recon drone to kind of check out the back of this branch office here.
Give it some sort of animal nickname for me. What for the model? It's a.
Yeah, I think this is probably like a wasp.
Wasp. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you want to check out the office building itself?
Yeah,
the Universal Brotherhood's chapter house.
Yeah, their chapter house, exactly. I'd like to check out the back of this place instead of, they're kind of checking out the front. I want to check out the back.
So in the alley, you can get a cursory glance of. You see there's a line of people going into the soup kitchen in the back. You see it's about 5 stories tall. After the first floor with the big windows, you see the next 4 floors look basically identical. You can fly up there, but none of the windows are open or anything like that at this time.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if I could maybe if there's some kind of access way I could get open and get a drone in there. I don't know. We don't have the plans for the building, so that's pretty tough. Yeah, maybe I.
So right now, are you controlling this drone remotely, or have you jacked your senses in, and are you a wasp?
Yeah. I think I've jacked into the drone. Yeah.
Okay, so you're probably about the size of. What do you think?
I think the drone is probably about the size of. I think it's a little bit smaller than a hummingbird.
Oh, okay, so pretty small.
Yeah, pretty small. Yeah.
So not super fast then, I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Faster than someone could run?
Yeah, well, I think so. I mean, I think the thing is that it's very dexterous, right?
So it can go up. Hard to run up.
Yeah, and also just can make turns on a dime, that kind of thing. So because it's very small, so it's hard to say if it could actually go faster than someone running at full tilt, but it's pretty fast, yeah.
So I think that if you wanted to, you could kind of maybe go in through a ventilation shaft on the roof, or you could maybe zip through underneath the shoes of the people in the line for the soup kitchen or whichever you want to do.
Right.
But I think that maintaining your stealth, I just want to call that a straight quickness roll.
Sure.
And
Yeah, and
as much
I
information
think
as
I'll
well.
probably be going in from the ventilation on the roof because that's going to be the less public part of the building.
Mm.
All right, so I'm going to make a roll here for quickness. Yeah, it's a 1, so here we go. That would be a 7.
Okay. So you're able to get into this ventilation shaft from from above. You see these few offices you're in. They're pretty much it's just like cubicles. Looks like people doing clerical work, right? That financial side of things that Sharper was alluding to is happening here. Organizational things. You maybe see some idea boards, for ways to reach out to the community. As far as what you see, the people who are working here, the screens, the cork boards and whatnot, it looks like a not-for-profit, right? Looks like
Sure.
genuine. You can get the basic floor plan of these. The top 4 floors, again, is pretty much identical, just cubicles. Very organized, very symmetrical. You can even, I think, get to the ground floor. You're small enough that you can do that, but there's no way that you can get into the elevator to go down to the basement, which you see is listed buttons, without drawing attention to yourself.
Yeah, so was there anything of any interest on those like whiteboards or of like sort of their recruitment strategy or?
Okay, yeah. I think you find like a Venn diagram. And it's or just a list of names maybe, and it's saying potential agents. On this list, you see a few names, and one of them is Victoria Gutierrez, and there's a check mark next to it.
Okay.
Cut back to Mr.
I just wanted to say I do have I have a comm link, so I do want to let the team know that I found this.
Yeah. Are you taking the comm link call in this conversation, Bogey, or are you gonna hold off?
I'd take it actually, because I feel like I'm probably getting this call as I'm walking out of the building, kind of saying I've figured out as much at this place as I can. I better start hitting up some of the retail spots on this little drag, and that's when it comes through.
You do also have the business card.
Right. And
Patrick.
I was gonna
Bramba.
Patrick Rambo.
Bramba. Let me type.
Okay. No. Bramba.
Bramba.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, actually, maybe you're just getting back to me now. Maybe I had this info, couldn't get through to oh gosh, I don't have the names in front of me. I couldn't get through to Cloud Kills right away, so then I tried to
please silence
get
all
through to
communication devices.
And I'm just like, hey, what are you doing? Get back to me. I'm trying to I found something we should check out. So that's probably like the voicemail or whatever that you see waiting for you when you're done like looking through your spy fly or your wasp rather.
Yeah, so I definitely take the opportunity to contact you and just say I got something good. It looks like
I think I did too, but you go first.
All right. Okay, I will. So look, I got a drone inside the local UB building, and I found out that Victoria was recruited as an agent of the organization.
Huh.
So I
Okay.
think that rules out this being
Wait.
some kind of con
The
job.
UB? Is that the group that gives out soup to the homeless?
Yeah, yeah.
Why would she
I
be
mean, I
joining
know.
a
Look,
group like that?
I know it's weird, but I think that explains why she's gone black more so than what I was thinking before, which is maybe she was running some kind of con, and this was all an assumed identity.
Oh, you mean like she joined the cult and now she's not taking outside calls?
Yeah, well, she's not
My
moving
grandmother
anywhere.
did
We
that.
know that much.
My grandmother became a nun when she got old, gave away all her stuff. It was totally weird. My dad wasn't real happy about it, and she didn't understand why we weren't happy for her getting closer to the unknown and all that. It was weird though, and sure enough, some bishop took all of her old silver, cashed it in. We found out, and anyway, I had
Yeah.
no need to be getting in on that. Sorry.
Well,
So
I think that's Look, I'm sorry to hear that, but I think that's the kind of story we're dealing with here, and I think if we're gonna find those gems, we're gonna have to see what the UB did with them, because there's a good chance she made a donation.
that sounds totally legit. I was gonna say, went to her place. I know I sent you guys out the quick download, but she's not there anymore. However, an actual PI came around looking to make some inquiries. Got a name. Think that maybe we can trace this back. I have a feeling that either this guy was hired by Simpson in the first place, or maybe somebody else is checking into her. Guy's name is Bram. Actually, since I'm a PI, is there a possibility that I have crossed paths with this Bramba guy before?
Oh, absolutely. You know him well.
Okay. So, what do I know about him? So, in case instead of saying, like,
Right. Bramba is a guy who tried to get into Lone Star. Right.
okay,
He's a bit of a romantic, right?
okay,
In kind of the same ways that Bogey is, right? He kind of fashions himself after these like noir detectives, but hopefully, unlike Bogey, Bramba's a little bit of a creep, if we're being honest.
okay,
But the sort of jobs he works, it's like, getting child support, kind of low level stuff like that. But he's definitely like a romantic, right? So like, his office is going to be like a glass panel that says like Patrick Bramba, private eye or whatever.
right. So he is like trying to be somebody out of a novel.
Yeah.
So I say, anyway, this guy's come along and he's been looking into her. It might I can probably call him up and try and say one investigator to another, but it might also cut some corners if we find out what he knows without me having to just be social first.
Yeah, I could have a look at his office. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
I'll beam you over the address now, and I pick up my hand, type in, and send you his office address.
yeah, sure. And like, look, I don't mean to be insulting, but PIs, we used to eat those guys for lunch.
So we cut to Sharper and Cloud Kills. This
I just wanted to make a note that I only have one weapon. I have a knife between my shoulder blades under a heavy coat. That's the only weapon I have.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else armed at the time? Are you armed, Cloud Kills, right now?
Yeah, she's strapped. She just carries her Ingram pretty much all the time. I mean, it's underneath her vest because it's kind of street gear. But
well, the group that you're sitting with, you wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them have some Ingrams too. We're looking at some mostly kind of homeless, dirty looking people, some kind of rough around the edges looking folks, but you see scattered here and there a couple people in business suits too. There's a pretty wide range of metatypes, mostly human, but lots of metatypes and ethnicities. Are
When we
present
walked
here.
in, when we walked in, was there any kind of like a sign-in sheet or anything like that at the entrance?
No, they like to keep these sort of things private for the privacy of their clients. And I think there's some people who, because of their business, they don't want, or their corporate, level, don't want people to know that they're going through any sort of philosophical
Rehab.
issues or whatever. Right.
Yeah. So Cloud Kills will go in and sit at the in the seat that's easiest to access the door from.
Yeah. And that's cool. You see, you're not the only one kind of angling for that sort of space, but Carlos is standing at the front. He's a Hispanic guy. He's telling his tale about how he used to be in a gang and he thought he found purpose and meaning there and brotherhood, but then they like sold him out and all this stuff. And I think as you look around the room, at first there's some people who are kind of like, I just came here for a warm meal or something like that, or not, or maybe cynical about things. But you start to see a lot of heads nodding, right? You see a lot of eye contact. There's a couple people maybe shedding tears, right? Looks like mostly everybody is really buying into this message. How about you, Sharper? You buying into any of this? The guy seems sincere.
Oh, people believe any damn thing they need to.
Yeah.
No.
I know I'm not there per se, but is it just, camera-wise, is it that he is that persuasive of a speaker, or is it that these people are just that down and out, or are there reactions out of, out of the ordinary for what he's saying?
Yeah, well, no, even the corporate guys, right, are kind of, hearing this tale from coming up from the streets, and they seem touched. But he doesn't seem it's not like a TED Talk guy, right? This is more like an AA meeting type person. This is a person who seems to be genuinely pouring out their heart and soul, so to speak.
I believe that he believes, and I believe that he's believable. So I believe.
How about you, Cloud Kills? What do you think? Last bastion of hope for the downtrodden?
Yeah, so Cloud Kills is a bullshitter, like a practiced bullshitter. So I think she's kind of looking at it from that angle and trying to scope the guy out. But like Sharper just said, this guy is just telling his life story. He's not a pitchman for the program. He's a participant. So
yeah, that's the impression that you get.
I guess he's coming across as reliable to her. So yeah, I think at this point, Cloud Kills thinks, maybe there's something to this. It seems to be working for people.
Mm-hmm. Not that you're going to go and,
sign up for the book club. Not that she's going to go sign up, but maybe there's something's working here.
So meeting ends probably about, 15, 20 minutes. They have a call for people to stand up and who wants to talk further with Carlos who can. But I don't think you'll be able to get much more information from him. He's pretty much a lower level guy too, like you said, mostly just a participant. But as you leave the room, you see Judy's now standing up and she's kind of talking into a comm link. And
I just want to point out that this is as Cloud Kills is leaving the room, because I'm going to leave a different way.
Oh, well, okay, we'll look into that. Cloud Kills, as you step out, if you do step out, you'll see that now there are two lines at the door. One is exit. People are able to go through just fine. But now at the entrance, they're starting to wand people as they come in.
Okay, so exiting is no problem.
Yeah.
In other words, they're not. Okay. Okay. So I think she walks out of the room and she sees that happening. She sees that they've increased security. And she looks around and notices that Sharper isn't with her. Mm-hmm. And then she, as unobtrusively as possible, makes her way back into the room to see where he's gone.
Yeah, where are you going, Sharper? One way in. What do you think?
Everybody came in one way,
Yeah.
and outside there's restrooms
Yes.
with drop ceilings.
Sure.
I'm in the ceiling,
That you are.
and I'm
What's
going
your
to follow
destination?
the cable for the security cameras to find the security station.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you see that there's no security camera in the meeting room that you're in.
Well, as
Just
soon as I
in the
make it
lobby.
back out to the hallway, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you picked up on that while you're in there. I mean,
Oh, the security camera in the meeting room is wireless.
oh, I don't think there was one in there.
Yeah, okay. Maybe not.
Maybe there was. But sure. So you're in the bathroom and you're trying to follow the cables to the security. Cloud Kills. You see Sharper doing that.
How'd she follow me into the bathroom?
Well, that's what you see him walking towards the bathroom.
No, she follows him.
Okay.
Okay, it's a unisex bathroom. Both popping
Because
in.
I do have athletics and stealth as skills, and I figure this is a
sweet.
combination of those.
Absolutely. So you're popping up into the drop ceiling. Cloud Kills, are you gonna keep an eye on the ground? Are you sitting in the stall he climbed up out of? What do you think?
No, she's just Sharper. Sharper, what are you doing? Sharper, why are you going into the ceiling?
I'm gonna poke it with a stick.
Should I poke it too?
No, why don't you report back on what's going on? And that way, if I get pinched, you can rescue me. Then stick his hand down out of the ceiling. Thumbs up, pull it back up.
Oh, okay. If you need a bigger stick, and she reaches into her cargo pocket in her tack trousers, and she grabs her concussion grenade, and she hands it up to him in the ceiling.
Cloud Kills, you're good people. Take the grenade. And then scuttle off like a distressing spider.
Go ahead and roll plus quickness.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that you have a skill, so you can't fail. You can just get a 7 to 9 result, basically.
I got a 5.
Okay. So what that means is you're not caught. Your goal here is to locate the you're following the cable from the security cameras. You're trying to find like a security station.
Basically, because my character can see the situation and I can't, I'm just trying to give some direction as far as what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
I'm trying to get into places that I'm not supposed to be unobtrusively. If I can get into like a janitor's station, I'd like to put on a jumpsuit, get a mop bucket. If I have an opportunity to get a pass card from someone, then I'm going to do that. We're going to have a hat. If that doesn't work out and instead I can get to space between the walls, that's great. If I have an opportunity to get into a security room that is not on the floor plans, like I'm in the Russian embassy and they've got spy rooms, that's great. I mean, I'm looking for opportunities to get behind the woodwork.
You can find whichever version of that you like best. You're going to have access to a key card, a disguise, and you even have access to floor plans. How do you want that to look? Do you want that to be the janitor closet, security office? What do you think?
I'd like to get into the security office.
Okay, yeah, so you do that, and there's even a bank of security cameras. You can see the lobby. You can see that they have locked the doors now.
Is it possible that I have with me a booster that I can plug into a system, like with a USB port, that will make it possible for outside intrusion to access the system?
I think you have enough that could help you make a link to Cloud Kills in the bathroom. Okay. You don't think it would be strong enough to get you outside of the brick walls.
Okay. I'll go ahead and do that then.
Okay. Yeah, so you see, you get on your security vest, and you got their walkie-talkie. You got your key card. It doesn't fit you super well. It's actually kind of loose. Like the chest is really broad. It seems like more broad than normal. You don't know if it's just a stylistic thing or what. But you see on the cameras, they're ushering people out. They're like, sorry, no more meetings today. You see Judy still standing behind the desk.
I see there's activity somewhere.
Yes, you do. You see a security guard walking towards the bathroom, and Cloud kills. Someone knocks at your stall. Cut to, I think, Ace. We were seeing, what were we up to prior?
I was gonna check out the offices of Mr. Bramba here.
Indeed. You're in your wasp again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the approach.
Very good.
And if he tells me that he's there, I might try and call Bambra so that he's distracted with the phone call and he can be a little bit more loose or whatever with his spy.
Right. Your wasp, you fly up to the building. You go up to his office. His glass window has been shattered. His door has been kicked in. He has files laying all over the place. No Bramba.
Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna say, well, Bogey, looks like we might be onto something. And
what's going on?
Bogey, you have his com code. You have a way to get in touch with him.
yeah,
All right. You say we've got something. You need me coming to you?
Oh no. Well, you see, this place has been roughed up. Doors kicked in, windows shattered, papers scattered. Someone's on his tail. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, holy heck. I tell you what, can that thing get in there and start looking around? I mean, if I was there, I'd know what to look for, but maybe I can give you some guidance. And,
sure, sounds good.
While he starts having it, basically check the place out, I will try his comms. And chances are we, tend to block our, caller ID type of stuff, but just so that he knows it's me, no one's ever going to probably spoof me. It might make it more likely that he'll pick up, or more likely he'll avoid me if he needs to do that. But, I'm broadcasting, hey, it's me calling, not something else.
Right. Yeah. So Bramba, he picks up the phone. His voice sounds shaky. Bogey, your comm code is a sight for sore eyes. I'll tell you what.
Sight for sore eyes. What kind of trouble you got yourself into now? And I say that lightly, as if I don't know that his place has been just knocked over.
He's like, oh man, I really stepped in it this time, man. I really kicked the hornet's nest for sure. Oh.
Who are you in trouble with? I mean, I know there's that bookie down at, and I kind of rib him a little bit, but give him an opening to kind of cut in.
He's like, hey, listen, can you do me an old favor for an old pal?
Oh, I will, so long as it's on the up and up.
You know I can handle myself in a fight, right?
Sure.
I know my way around a service pistol. Lone Star.
Yeah, what I'm sitting here nodding, but it's actually essentially FaceTime, right? So,
look, there's this dame I've been tracking down, right? Jilted lover, jilted wife. Wanted to hear about this affair going on, okay? Told me to track her down. I got jobs like this down the block.
Who doesn't? It's 50% of them, right?
That's how it seems. But let me tell you, man, there's something about this girl. Well, that's besides the point.
What, the one who hired you, or the one you're investigating?
The one I'm investigating. Yeah, her name's Victoria. Okay, look, listen, she's in real trouble.
Oh yeah.
And
why the wife coming in too hot on her?
I don't know. Look. I think
Hey,
There's
is this
something
safer
big
in
going.
person? You need to get off comms.
There's no time. We need to meet now. Look, if you help me out, I can help you out. Okay? I'm sure a favor for a favor. But listen, she's
Give
in
me an
trouble
address,
right
man. I'm
now.
there.
Look, I'd tell you to meet me here at Super Dad's. You know, our favorite strip joint for back in the day. You know, I've been hiding out here. These guys, they tore up my place. They beat me up. Nearly got me. But look, meet me at the Universal Brotherhood Chapter House, Wicker Park.
And that's where the others already are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm basically kind of like on my comm, sending out uh, to Ace. Oh, I think we're barking up the right tree. Bramba's kind of confirmed it.
You know I'd
Yeah.
love to meet you over good old Harvey Wallbanger, taco war stories, tell you all about this case. But look, when I first went into this thing, I thought maybe she was getting some heat because she had this nice necklace, right?
Necklace.
Yeah, this ruby necklace, one of a kind, called Blood by the designer. Who knows? Her John got her for. But look, I think that somebody has taken her. Look, I was tracking her. I was watching her. Went into that chapter house. She never came out.
Okay. And does your source of revenue know that you are trying to hunt her down? Or is it you think the people she went in for that sent goons to your place?
She already got everything she wanted from me. I showed her the pictures of her with the guy. She's done with me.
Okay.
This is personal.
All right, man.
I'm worried about this girl, man.
Look, it sounds like you could use someone to get your back. I'll head on down. You know I'm good for it.
You're a good man. And I'll tell you what, I'll throw this in. I know that she's got that necklace. That's got to be worth something on the black market. I bet she has it with her because when I was tracking her, I saw her go in that chapter house with that necklace.
So this is actually, I'm going to throw it out to the group because I'm a little conflicted on what Bogey's like. I'm kind of actually feeling a little bit torn between like how jaded is he, and as this conversation goes on, I'm almost a little tempted to let him know that I'm investigating the same angle, you know, other side of the line, but you know, like I want to kind of reassure him as opposed to just leave him hanging. You know what I mean?
Well, if you're gonna do it, maybe do it in person.
Yeah. Right. Not over.
Where are you at when you're making this call, Bogey?
I'm probably walking down the street, so I was heading towards the maybe it's a little, you know, organic boutique grocery store that caters to you know, coders, called the bread box. I don't know, but you know, they've got baked goods, and you know, hackers tend to go in there. But it's like it's the place that's on her street I was planning on heading into until this phone call started distracting me.
So, Ace, where do you meet up with Bogey before you head to the chapter house?
I think that. So I'm not really familiar with the neighborhood, but I guess it would be possible to meet on some kind of like nearby back street, you know, like somewhere, like I guess because we're assuming we have a van, so
Yeah,
I want somewhere I can park it.
But you're relatively
a
close
little ways
to
away from the chapter house itself, because I figure you know they probably got some street surveillance, especially if things have been getting a little hotter.
So as your van, as we see as you pull away to start to go towards that meetup, you see headlights turn on.
Okay. All right. Well, obviously I'm gonna have so I tell Bogey, I'm like, look, I got a tail I think someone's onto us.
Uh,
We might be caught up in the same kind of trouble that your friend there is.
well, why don't you try and lose him and see how much of your deep pocket of hot shit maneuvers you need to use to shake these guys. It'll let you know if they're the real deal or not. And then I'll take a few moments and look through my map, see if there's a good spot for me to meet up with you. And basically, I'll throw him a pin of a place that I know is real easy to get out from because I feel like having worked the beat, I probably know, like, here's a place that is at least relatively safe to scooch from with
Sure.
his van.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
And I just probably say, well, I just wanted to give you a heads up that maybe you don't want to hang out right outside that building.
Yeah, I'm moving along.
so you're gonna try to shake your tail, Ace?
Yeah,
Actually,
for sure.
if he needs it, I can put myself on the subway, like take one of the lines that's gonna drop me off in like 5-10 minutes, so I can sit down and kind of do the. I'm gonna close my eyes like a normal subway rider, and maybe like pull up my comm like I'm looking at the latest scram sheet, and then I'll actually like project to where he is and run some astral guidance for him.
Yeah, we can figure that out. Go ahead and roll with quickness for me here.
Sure. Yeah.
All quickness tonight. Nice.
That's an 11.
Okay. You're able to shake the tail, and you see a little bit more of the car. It's kind of like a beat down looking car. You see the people hanging out of it. They're all a bunch of guys. Your experience with the streets, they almost look like gangbangers, right? But they're not really wearing like colors, and there's no like marker on their car that says that they're in a gang. But if it wasn't for that, you would think that they were.
Right. So yeah, I guess I'm not super familiar with the with the streets in Chicago, but it still might stand out to me as a little bit unusual. So I'll just say, guys are following me. They look like some kind of gangbangers, but they're not wearing colors, and I wonder if this is just kind of a disguise.
I'll check them out since I'm assuming natural you can move pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure that, like, if they are showing any signs of abilities or if there's anything.
You can triangulate from the landmarks because you from walking the beat and being a magician, you kind of know, in addition to the streets, you know what the astral landscape of the city is. So you're able to kind of find out, triangulate where Ace's location is. You can find this car. There's humans, an orc, a troll in this car. You see some sort of like anxiousness.
Okay. Are they cybered up or anything? Like they look like they're missing humanity?
You see a little bit of cyberware. You see like a missing arm on one of them, right? One of them maybe has like a couple of like dermal, like steel plates on his body or something, right? But no magical things.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of pop back to myself and say, they just look like dudes kind of running the street toughs. How'd you run across them?
Well, like I said, they started tailing me. So,
they noticed you walking out of Brambo's place, or leaving from Brambo's place.
Yeah. I guess I was in the area. So,
you know what? He said that some people have been after him. This might be, more of that if they're trying to track him down. I told him I'd meet up with him, and surprise of surprises, he wants to meet up outside that UB chapter house.
Yeah, I think that's where it's all going down. And I guess like the way that I was just gonna say, like, maybe the way I lose them is just by sort of heading towards this part of town, and kind of waiting for Lone Star to sort of give them the old stop and frisk or whatever, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a posher part of town, yeah.
Yeah, I think that absolutely happens. In fact, you notice that the police even seem to be a little bit on edge. I mean, sure, Lone Star's never been the most gentle, but as you're kind of looking in your rearview mirror, they see them really like throw these guys onto the hood. Just an interesting little sight. But yes. Excuse me. Is there anyone in this stall?
Cloudkill says, yes, occupied. Thank
I hate
you.
to be a bother, miss, but we're unfortunately having to close for the day. We've detected a carbon monoxide leak. We have to get everyone out of here immediately. It's an emergency.
I apologize, but I've had McHughes for the last 3 days straight. So unless you want a serious leak of your own, maybe 5 minutes. And could you wait outside, maybe? I don't mean to throw the gender card, but I'm not really comfortable with a guy being right outside my door right now.
Oh, I understand. 5 minutes. I'll be waiting outside to escort you out.
Could we maybe go 10?
Ma'am.
And she gives this very horrific grunt as she's saying it.
Your health is in imminent danger.
I know. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, let's see how well you feign diarrhea, I guess. That's not there's no move for that in Shadowrun, so.
But I do have deception as a skill.
All right. Well, he's gonna believe you.
Do you want me to give you a charisma roll for that?
You go ahead. I want to see.
I don't know if that's charisma, actually, in the most technical sense. Let's go.
Yeah, this will look real good on your resume, Cloud Kills, for sure.
Okay. I got an 8 total with my modifier.
Good. And just as a quick out of character thing, trying to keep it to 3 hours tonight, so we don't have much time. So we might have to finish up the grand finale at the beginning of next session, unfortunately. Which is too bad because Bogey's really cool, and I don't know if we're going to be seeing you next time, Tejas. But tell the guy, oh yeah, this is going to be a big one. He says, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. I'll wait outside. We're clearing everyone out though. And
me too.
Yeah. So he leaves you alone for now. If you haven't left Sharper, you can see there is this bodyguard standing outside of the door. He looks, you can tell on the video feed, he has cyber eyes. They're kind of stylized in a very particular way. They almost look like multifaceted. So there might be some sensory gear in there. But he's got a big, broad chest, human. But he's kind of like leaning against the wall next to the door. What are you doing with your newfound gear?
Well, it kind of depends on what else I can see going on in the building. I mean, there's a lot of things clearing out. But what I'm interested in is where things are collecting and setting up for the next thing. Because from here, I would know if there was a CO2 leak or anything like that. That would be...
That's bullshit. Oh, no. Andrew dropped out momentarily. Oh, he's back. Sorry about that technical glitch. Yeah, the CO2 or this CO is bullshit. There, you can tell at the levels that there's something going on.
I assume something else is going on or will be about to be going on. That's what I'm looking for.
You see Judy talking to 2 other security guards. They're armed with machine pistols. One has like that. They've gotten all of the lay people out of the building. they've secured that, locked it up, and you see Judy kind of like notion to a third guard, and she kind of points him over towards the elevator, and he heads to the elevator and goes in there. But
what weapons are in here?
Yeah, good question. Wow,
You don't
I
have
think
to bring a lot in if you go to where they keep theirs.
I don't mean to disappoint you, but I don't think that they have a lot of weapons.
No stun
I think you
guns,
see
no
batons. Yeah, like not even. It's just batons.
take a baton.
Sure. Yeah. It's and you actually with your experience with security and military, you notice that that's odd. Not
That
even
is
a
odd.
stun gun.
Well, especially if you're, expecting your security staff to deal with people who don't have to divest their weapons before they come in.
Yeah, they seem very confident, overly confident. Maybe
Right.
it's because they're goody two shoes.
Nah.
For sure.
Oh, come on. That thought does not enter Sharper's mind.
Well,
All right.
we might see how that is for the best.
All right. So if I do see activity, I'm going to head that direction. I'm not worried about cloud kills. She's still in a civilian approved area. Worst thing's going to happen is she's going to get escorted out. So that's not all bad. There's other ways.
You do see, I guess Judy would call out to a fourth guard, and you see that they're heading down the hallway towards what would be the security office, to go make sure that everything's clear.
Okay.
So you have about a good minute.
All right, then I'll head out to the hallway and send Cloud Kills a text. I'm up. That's IMMA. Prepare roof access. Just send that. And I'll head for the roof.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That way I can get the rest of the group in through the roof next time.
Okay.
Because if you have somebody on the inside, I imagine you can shut a lot of those security protocols and alarms down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think you could do that. So you get the good news there, Cloud Kills. Do you egress from the bathroom?
So just to be clear, from the context there, did you want someone on the inside to or to stay on the inside and hack in to where they could shut everything down, or were you expecting Cloud Kills to leave? I just want to be really clear.
Well, they've
sounds like we're leaving and coming back through the roof another
Cloud
time.
Kills is made.
Yeah.
Cloud Kills is made. So I figure this is the wrong moment to push
Don't get yourself in a fight. Okay.
But that's the last chance that we have to kind of exchange information before you go outside. So I'll give you a point of egress, and then it's ingress, and it's up to me to figure out how to make a hole so you guys can come in.
Right. So Cloud Kills will exit the stall and then make a big show as she walks out the door of covering her face, and she tells the guard, "I'm so sorry, but don't go in there. 5 minutes before you go in, please. I'm so sorry." And apologetically backs out as quickly as she can toward the front door.
And he kind of places a hand on your back and walks with you.
But he's escorting her toward the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you should at least wash your hands. That's nasty.
But as you're going towards the front door, Judy puts a hand up and says, "Sister, how was your meeting?"
It was enlightening. Thank you so much.
Sorry we had to cut things short. We've unfortunately received some threats. There are just people out there in the world who, they don't want to let good people like us continue operating the way that we do.
Well, I appreciate your concern for our well-being.
Indeed. Well, the exit's right there. Thank you for your time. I hope you'll come again. I'm sure we'll get this problem resolved very quickly.
And I'll be back soon. Thank you.
So you notice that they didn't mention the CO, the carbon monoxide. Now it's a threat. Okay, so you can exit. Bogey, you're meeting up with Bramba, right?
Yeah.
You'll be heading to the Brotherhood, Sharper, you're getting the ventilation shafts open for people to drop in from the ceiling.
Yeah, I'm headed to the top of the building to see what the best way is. Maybe ventilation, maybe not. I have no preconceived notion on that.
Let me have you roll one final quickness test to sum things up tonight.
That's hilarious. Quickness is my best.
And you're stealthy, so
Quickness
should be
is
good.
not my best.
Oh.
Okay, I got a 6.
Well, unfortunately, I can't give you the full hard move.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make your way up through the very quiet offices. You know, you see a couple other security guards, sort of ushering them away. You yourself are able to kind of blend in as another grizzled-looking security guy, right? You maybe point a couple people in the right direction. You know, you make your way up and you prepare. Good, solid way to get in.
All right.
And I will advance me good old clocks and not tell you what it means yet. But if I look, ooh, very good. I like that. What that number is going to mean. That is session 1. My ultimate goal was to complete everything here in one shot. Wasn't able to make that, but then again, I don't have a lot of experience running shadow runs or mysteries, so part of that could just be my own, needing to get used to the timing and pacing for that. But we can start off at the top of next session, coming in through the ceiling of the Universal Brotherhood chapter house. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get a quick final parting shot of everyone as you're preparing to go in here. What have you brought with you? You know, we'll say enough time has passed where this is right before you jump in. What's everyone doing, looking like?
Well, we might need to figure out what's going on with Bogey. Maybe because he's meeting up with Bramba, something happens where he doesn't quite make it. We'll figure that out later.
I'll leave you for last. I'll give you a little parting shot.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see.
I think, given the circumstances, I think I would be more likely to to take my wasp in there again, and just try to like keep an eye out for everybody with my comlink, keeping them appraised. Then send in my my weapons drone, because we haven't really got an indication that they're heavily armed. Like the security station was not filled out with a lot of weapons. And obviously the weapons drone is like on treads, so it's way more likely to be spotted. So yeah, I think I'd be going in quiet pretty much. But not actually physically entering the building. I would just be jacked into my drone.
Cool.
Yeah, I have pretty much the materials I found in the building. So,
right.
If I have a chance to gather more, I'll get a colorful collection of key cards.
Do you have any sort of Zen Buddhist or Bushido style, like focusing ritual or anything you do before you go into combat, or are you just at that all the time?
Well, he does have a daily ritual that he does, and if he knows he's going in, then yeah, I mean, meditation is good. I just don't think that he would feel secure enough to do that while he's in enemy territory. Because all it takes is one person to open the door, and our whole entry plan is borked. So he's going to stay frosty till backup gets there.
Okay. Cloud Gills, how about you?
So she's going to go in physically. She's pretty much kitted out already. I mean, she's already had her deck on her. It's not that huge. She's already got her SMG. She divested herself of her single hand grenade that she was very proud of. But she's going to go in just because, in case she does need to actually jack into their system on site, she'll be able to provide matrix cover from the inside.
And think of the footage.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. I mean, she is a decker, but she's also a reporter in a way. So she's also going in because she wants to actually film whatever is happening in there. Now, she doesn't think it's necessarily going to be anything other than maybe some corrupt bureaucrats or administrators at this point, at the worst. So, she's not expecting to get anything really juicy. But yeah, she's there for a story.
It's going to go full Blair Witch Project. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So, I think, from what I understand of Bogey's MO, he really likes to go in with his astral form first and kind of scout things out on the astral plane.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he's still sort of like, the hard-boiled guy, so I don't think it's a matter of, military-style scouting the situation. It's more just like, if he knows that there's a place he needs to be, he'll check it out, but he's more likely to go in and try to talk nice or talk with his machine pistol to get somebody to not actually like shooting it, just like the threat of violence to get him going. It just hasn't needed to be that way so far because I'm just talking to the apartment lady.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this much. What you see on the astral plane, in your brief overview, at first it seems benign. You see some wards, pretty standard stuff. The basement's blocked out. Lots of basements are blocked out from wards, right?
Right.
But you get this like weird feeling as you look at people. Their forms are like, there's a little bit of a blur going on, right?
Okay.
They look mostly human, but you almost get this impression that maybe, just maybe, their auras are being masked. That's all you can get is the impression. So someone here is altering the appearance of these things. That's your suspicion. You can't necessarily be sure.
Right.
You know that if someone was able to do that, that would mean that they're a pretty powerful mage.
Yeah, right. High level initiator, whatever.
Yeah. But there's some bad juju going on here.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely kind of warn the rest of the team about that, but that's assuming I can get them back on comms.
So Bogey, or Tejas, at the Gauntlet we run things open table a lot. And so if you can't make it to another session, we always find a way to work that out. Okay. That's not something we necessarily spend too much time worrying about. But I'll give you an opportunity if you want Bogey to have an exit here. You can, but we can always figure that out. We could just say you were along for the ride.
Okay. Honestly,
how do you want to handle it?
Oh, I mean, one, I don't know if there is actually an opening for next time, and two, I need to talk to my wife to make sure that I'm free. On the assumption that I can't make it, we'll say this. It seems like the people who are after Bramba got taken out, but if everything is so off with what's going on, he and I get together. There's probably like that Blade Runner style like little noodle cart on the street somewhere in the vicinity. So he and I both kind of sit down in front of it, or he's probably already there. And I'm talking to him and kind of getting the details from him about what's going on with this girl that he's obsessed with. And probably at some point, I'll kind of break down and say, look, Bramba, you're a goofball, but I like you despite that. And so I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, that means a lot to me, Bogey.
we're working the same case. Sounds like you were hired by the wife. Looks like she put the thumb screws to the husband, and we're going after the necklace. I mean, professionally, all I'm interested in is the necklace. Personally, though, it sounds like stuff is a little more shady than just a necklace would imply.
That's what I've been trying to tell people.
And I've got a few other friends who are looking into this place. I mean, just looking at it myself, it seems like the ook level is kind of high. And, you know, maybe we need to spread all our cards on the table, so to speak. And just as I am saying that, maybe there are some shadows like kind of coming down the street toward them who sort of break away from the crowd, maybe like whisper into lapel mics as they sort of notice the two of us at the noodle cart. But because awareness is one of my skills, and as a PI I'm kind of keeping an eye out, knowing that we're in trouble, I might notice them with, you know, whatever level of goodness or badness a roll might imply.
Right.
And the two of us might have to break for cover. And, you know, depending on whether I can make it next time, it'll be what happens after we, you know, put our feet to the pavement.
As far as we know, Brambo Bogey had to lie low.
Cool scene. I like that.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, so I think that's our show for tonight. Sorry for running a little bit long, everyone. I know for some folks it's getting late, and some folks getting to be lunchtime. That's the way the world works.
Run to another city now, so gotta do that.
All right, but it was great playing with all of you. Playing with some of you again, Tejas, it was awesome to have a chance to play with you for the first time. Hope I see you in some other Gauntlet games at the very least.
Yeah, definitely. I was excited to finally start playing with the Gauntlet, or restart playing with the Gauntlet.
Yes. I will be doing a debrief in a few minutes on Discord if anyone's interested in joining me there. Absolutely optional. Does everyone have links to the Discord that wants them?
Yeah.
I do not, but that might be because I have no idea what that means.
I think I can hit you all up on Slack. So I will send you a link there in a few minutes, and then join me there if you'd like.
I'll go ahead and say bye to everyone. It's 3:15 a.m. here, so I gotta go to bed.
Oh my goodness.
No, but I really enjoyed the game. Yeah, Michael, thank you so much for running it. I really enjoyed it. You did a great job.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, the whole thing was good. It was entertaining.
Very good.
That's for sure.
All right, I'm ending the broadcast.